Right here inside the Mandalay Bay Convention Center on Radio Row. We are live with Danny Kanell here on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens, and of course, the man we just mentioned, Danny Kanell. Danny, we are glad to have you here. Let's talk about stunt to get things going here and the excitement it's bringing for sports fans. Twitter can be a tough place
yes,
to talk sports.
It can be.
This seems like a really good social media platform to spark that sports debate. It's a place for sports fans. What do you like most about it?
I love it because I don't know about your guys' experience on social media, but you put out a statement on a quarterback, on a team, on anything out there sports related, and all of a sudden your comments are just either a bunch of bots or they're people arguing about politics all of a sudden. Like they're thinking, accusing me of being a MAGA supporter or accusing me of being a raging liberal. I'm like, where do we get into this when I just want to talk who's the greatest quarterback of all time, or I want to talk should Florida State been in the playoffs?
And
of course they should have, but like that's what I want, and I don't want people coming in and basically disrupting those conversations by just trying to get their own attention. This is all about the sports fans. Stunt is where sports fans go to discuss sports. It's also where you can create your own following. It's simple, easy. It's really easy to use. You can start your own podcast. You can start your own radio show. It's a great way to start a little following. And they also have trivia. I know you guys are probably trivia buffs. Twice a week you have trivia, 12 questions. If you get in, you can win $500. If no one wins, it carries over so the pot grows. It's just an awesome place for sports fans to hang out and talk sports.
How did you know we like I don't like that. You read the trivia right away on us.
You got any questions?
No. You know what? I was doing an interview earlier, and it was the pitcher that gave up the home run to Barry Bonds' 755th home run.
No.
And I don't even remember his name right now. Mike. We look it up. It was Mike. So now I need to know so I can get the answer on stunt.
Yeah.
Can I get to one of the topics you brought up, though? We'll have it as civil as possible.
The greatest quarterback of all time.
No.
Oh, it's not that one. Gotcha.
It's Tom or eventually Pat. We've got it figured out, right? The FSU thing. So some people were super adamant FSU didn't belong anywhere near the playoff. And obviously then the other end is it's a disgrace that they weren't in. What I think is the most important starting point of the conversation, though, is who you are leaving out, right? And for me, I strongly felt Alabama deserved to be there regardless of everything else around them due to the quality of their win. And I thought the FSU debate, for me, would have landed stronger had people picked on Texas more. Because their wins, I didn't think stacked up. I understand FSU didn't lose a game, but Bama's loss, ironically enough, to Texas. And that's what I think made it all so complicated, is why we ended up in that conversation. For me, I thought they were all deserving. And it was somewhat fitting that in the final year of the 14 format, we had 5, 6, 7 very deserving teams crushing for FSU. But my main thing was I really felt Bama deserved to be there due to the strength of their victories. Of course, that SEC title game being the main one.
Yeah, I thought Texas came out completely unscathed. Like, they didn't even enter the conversation for that fourth spot. They were already in. Yes. And it was like, wait a second, how healthy was the debate for them? Because I thought Florida State would have stacked up good against either one of them, right? I mean, undefeated to me does matter. Sure. The biggest problem I had with it, I like your case better than the committee's. The committee said after the fact they didn't think Florida State could compete because their starting quarterback was out, which I understand where they're coming from, but that is not what sports are supposed to be about. Football is the greatest team sport ever created, and it's about players elevating when one guy goes down. And I know quarterback is the most important position in the game, but the defense was historical for the last 3 weeks of the season when they didn't have Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
The minute I got nervous, though, because I was guaranteeing Florida State fans that Florida State would be in, all they had to do was win, was when I was watching the ACC championship game, and it was gross. Yeah. I mean, it was ugly on offense. And it does matter. Style points are needed. They want to see competency, even though I think the defense could have gone with anybody, and if they would have got that, because they were on their third-string quarterback, they would have got their backup back, who I thought was more competent. But the minute I saw that product on the national stage, I was like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. And sure enough, the committee referenced that. And I think that lasting image of Florida State struggling to even get first downs or move the football at all was what absolutely killed Florida State's playoff hopes. If they would have won and just handed it off and run the football and won a little more comfortably, I think it would have been fine. But because it was so ugly, it killed them.
If they would have been Michigan in the Big Ten title game against Iowa.
Right.
And that's a huge part of the conversation. Of course, Florida State, one of the 15 undefeated Power 5 conference champions in the history of the college football playoff, the only one to be left out of the CFP. So I'm not sure where you were entering 2023, but as we transition into 2024 in college football playoff expansion, did this year change your thought if you are in favor of a 12-team format moving forward from 4?
I have been a pro expansion of the playoffs.
There we go.
Since before the BCS. And even when so I hated the 2 teams. I thought it was ridiculous, and the Oklahoma State example was the one that kind of got this whole thing started when you had the Alabama-LSU matchup rematch after the 9-6 game, which, by the way, we didn't care about style points on offense then. But then Oklahoma State got left out. When they went to the 4-team playoff, I liked it, but I didn't think it was the best solution. I thought it could be better. I was, for a long time, for simplicity's sake, was at 8 teams. Let's go 5 Power 5 conference champs and 3 wild cards. And when they threw the 12-team out there, I was like, all right, this is getting even juicier, right? And I do like the formula that they've used, because the anti-playoff expansion people have always said, well, it's going to diminish the regular season. Regular season won't matter. It'll turn into college basketball. Even though 12 teams out of 130 is still a very small group of teams, you protect the regular season by incentivizing first-round bye, by incentivizing home field advantage. So I don't think any team is going to hang in the towel and say we're resting our starters when there's playoff spots or home field on the line.
But also, one of the things, so I understand that Bama, and it's ironic because Bama losing to Texas ended up not mattering. But people adore that about college football, that if you lose once, you're done. But the counter to that is, okay, fine. Now Bama and Georgia and Ohio State can lose a game and they'll still be in. But we were existing in a world where we would have 12 versus 13 and nobody cared. It's like, well, they're not getting into the top 4. Like, Iowa would go into the game against Michigan, and yes, they didn't have a chance. But even if Iowa beat Michigan in that game, they were never getting into a playoff there. So you're actually making more games matter. Even if a loss isn't as diminishing, now you're asking the college football fan to care about more teams. And I think that is to a big benefit of the sport. And one of, I think, other sneaky benefit that's going to be a lot of fun that I'm excited about is now the Heisman Trophy conversation. I didn't agree with Jaden Daniels getting it, whatever. I knew I was on the losing end of that.
You were Penix?
So I actually think they could have just gave it to Bo Nix. Bo Nix was the favorite, like, because we do all this, right, was the favorite to win it. And what cost him it was being in the Pac-12 title game. Like, if they would have given it to, I would have given it to either one of them over Jaden Daniels, because that's kind of how we were working in college football. But now that we have this big expanded field, now we get to throw more guys in it, and we can fall in love with even a Caden Salter, who had that unreal season at Liberty and would have been in the CFP.
The month of November is going to be so much more entertaining and deeper, because there were only a select few teams where games really mattered. Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, you know, some of those games, the rivalry games, and you had a bunch of games that people weren't paying attention to. Bringing in that back end of the debate, you know, the 5 through 16, 5 through 20, man, I think you can go pretty deep of who could potentially sneak in on the back door. I think it's going to make the regular season that much more compelling. And you're right, the Heisman Trophy is another one that could be that much more difference-making opportunities for players to rise and really make a lasting impression.
100%.
So count us as 3 pro-expansion guys.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, for the de-incentivizing regular season games, you know what de-incentivizes regular season games? When you win all 12 and a conference championship and you don't reach the college football playoff.
Exactly.
Danny, before we let you go, let's get some thoughts on the big game on Sunday. Super Bowl 58, Niners and Chiefs. The greatest quarterback of all time debate, which you can have on Stunt. If Patrick Mahomes wins his 3rd Super Bowl on Sunday, he is certainly into that conversation. Do you think Mahomes will win his 3rd Lombardi Trophy?
I don't, because I'm picking the 49ers, but I've been burned by Patrick Mahomes 3 times this postseason, and I keep getting burned, and I'm like, keep going back to the table or back to the window saying, come on, this has got to be the time. I just feel like this 49ers team is more complete, and I think they have more offensive weapons. I feel like they have more options to go to if one aspect of it isn't working. It's a big if you can slow down the Kelsey-Mahomes connection, which a lot of teams did through that middle of the season stretch when the Chiefs struggled, then I think they're exposed to possibly getting beat. I think Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers get it done. I think Christian McCaffrey is the MVP of this game, though. As much as we talk about Brock Purdy in the game manager debate, I think Christian McCaffrey is the difference maker in this game. I think he's the most valuable player in the NFL for what he means. I think that the way that offense opened up when they made the trade for him last year, it's remarkable the difference in what he's meant to the team. I think he's the difference in this game.
Let me just ask you on that idea quickly. I think it is fascinating, even if I disagree, but that we spent the whole offseason, people were like, hey, what if the running backs get together and sue this league because they won't pay any of them?
Right.
And now we're in the most important game, and this is the conversation around McCaffrey. Yeah. It's a big credit to him. Again, I just think the quarterback's always going to be more valuable, but it is remarkable that in this same calendar year football season, McCaffrey as the running back, people are like, yeah, he's the most important player on the single best team in the league.
And he's going to be runner-up for the MVP. He's going to finish 2 behind Mahomes.
You think?
Oh, yeah, I think so. God, some people we know may be sitting up here at 100-1 ticket on Christian McCaffrey to win MVP. And I'm going to be really upset when he comes up short.
It
was me.
Oh,
Which I'm still going to be bugged because it would have been really fun to catch that ticket. But I think the difference in Christian McCaffrey is I think running backs, even really good running backs, are replaceable. You have to differentiate yourself with being able to catch the football, what McCaffrey does, with being as explosive as he is, which he does, and being a great pass blocker and everything. He is more than just a running back. He is a weapon that is irreplaceable within that system, and that's why he's worth as much as he is.
You made that point earlier in the week that running backs get subbed out of a game or can be replaced quickly when they're not the best at every single aspect of what they do on a football field. Christian McCaffrey is that, either out of the backfield in the receiving game, on the ground, helping out in pass protection as well. A little bit of everything here inside Radio Row.
By the way, we should have really got into it. We get in on stunt, too.
Please, yeah.
Dan Marino is the true GOAT. I'm just leaving you with that. If you threw out Super Bowl titles, which is kind of dumb anyway, think about it. Peyton Manning gets credit for 2 Super Bowls. The second one, he had more interceptions than touchdown, and yet we're going to credit that with him as if he was some huge part of it. My man Dan Marino is the best pure passer of the football in the history of the game.
I'm looking to see if there's a QR code on stunt that
That's
I can download.
That's a scorcher right there.
Now
Let's go.
And just hop into the platform with Danny Kanell.
I like that.
We appreciate the time here on Radio Row.
You got it.